The teal and orange look is one of the most well-known and widely used looks in all of filmmaking, but why? And also, how do you get that look without it looking like a muddy piece of crap? Well, today we're gonna go over all of that. We're gonna talk about why teal and orange is so effective, and we're gonna go over 3 different ways to get the teal and orange look in Davinci Resolve. And stick around, because if you're a channel member, I've got a huge surprise for you at the end of this video. But before we get into any of that, I wanna give a huge shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Puget Systems. Puget Systems builds custom PCs for editors, gamers, engineers, you name it. And the best part about them is all of their PCs are completely custom made for you. And the process is super easy. Simply hop on a call with Puget Systems, tell them about what you do and what your workflow looks like, what you need your computer to do for you, and they'll get to work designing a system that is tailor-made for exactly what you need. I've been using my Puget build for about 9 months now, and I absolutely love it. Render times are super fast. It does everything that I need it to do. It's perfect. So if you're an editor, gamer, engineer, or whatever, and you need a PC that's built to do exactly what you need it to do, head over to the link in the description and sign up for a call with Puget Systems today. The call's free, those guys are super knowledgeable, and they'll get you started off on the right foot. Thanks so much, Puget, for sponsoring this video. Now let's talk about teal and orange. First of all, why does teal and orange work so well? And to put it simply, contrast and depth. Here's the thing, if you take a look at a color wheel, you'll notice that teal and orange are exactly opposite each other, meaning they contrast each other, but they also complement each other. Also, orange is typically where skin tones land on the color spectrum. So when you push teal into the shadows, you're contrasting that orange in the skin, which makes the skin pop out more, which makes your subject more noticeable, which means your audience is going to focus on the subject of your video. It's gonna make an overall more pleasing image that has depth and contrast. It just works. It's just very pleasing to the eye. I'm sure somebody else could get more scientific with it, but that's it. It's contrasting colors, which adds depth, which makes it more pleasing to the eye. And that's all well and good, but how? How do you get that teal and orange look? Well, there's actually quite a few ways to do it with varying degrees of difficulty, and you'll get very different results. Today, we're gonna take a look at 3 of them. One's more of a beginner method, one's more intermediate, and then the other one I would say is more complicated, more professional. It definitely provides the most natural looking results, but all 3 of these methods are completely workable and completely acceptable. And I have to give credit where credit's due. I didn't come up with any of these methods. This is more of a compilation of things that I've learned from other people, but I guess so is everything on YouTube, right? So the beginning method that I'm gonna show you is actually taught by Denver Riddle, and then the intermediate method is taught by my friend Jim Robinson, who is a super knowledgeable video editor, although I don't think he actually has a channel. And then the more professional method that I'm gonna show you is from Kazi, who's an amazing colorist. I watch his videos all the time. You guys should too. I'll definitely have Denver and Kazi's channel linked below, and if Jim has a channel, I will link that below as well. All right, let's get started with the beginner method. I've got this clip here. Now, this has already been color corrected, so we don't have to worry about that. This is actually a clip from ArtGrid. In fact, all of these clips are from ArtGrid. It's where I get all of my stock footage. They're linked below if you want to check them out. But we've got this here. It's color corrected. We're good to go. So let's go ahead. We're going to do this all with 3 nodes. So let's go ahead and add a serial node by hitting Alt-S. Then we're gonna add a parallel node by hitting Alt-P. And then we're gonna click on our mixer and we're gonna hit Alt-S again. So let's go ahead and label these. We will call this one teal. We'll label this one hue versus. And we'll label this one here final corrections. All right, let's head over to our teal node, and what we're gonna do is come down into our primaries wheels. We're gonna grab our offset, and we're just gonna drag some teal into the image. That's looking good right about there. And then we're gonna come down to our hue versus, and we're gonna come over to hue versus saturation. We're gonna select red, we're gonna select yellow, and we're just gonna increase the saturation of both of those. Push them quite a bit, actually. And now you can see we've got the teal and we've got our oranges, our reds, our yellows popping out a bit more. That's looking a lot better. The only problem is this shirt right here is a little oversaturated. So what we're gonna do is come down to our final corrections and we're just going to stay in hue. Actually, let's move over to hue versus Luma. And what we're gonna do is click on the red in the shirt and we're just gonna bring the Luma down. That's looking pretty good right about there. Maybe head over to hue versus saturation. Click that shirt again. Bring the saturation down just a little bit and we're good to go. Now, if we come over into our vector scope, let's go ahead and pop our scopes out real quick. When we take a look at our vector scope, you'll see that we're neatly going from teal into orange. And we've got the yellow of the sweater here and the red of that flannel shirt here. But our main colors here are going from teal to orange. We've got a nice look going on there. The only thing else I want to do is still in that final corrector node. I want to come over to Luma versus saturation. And we're going to click the shadow button and we're just going to drag this down to desaturate the darker parts of the image, make it look a little bit more natural, take some of the color cast out of the shadows. And now we've got a before and after. So that's the beginner method, super easy. Just push teal until the entire image and then bring up the saturation in the oranges and then you can tweak from there. Really simple, really quick, and it does a pretty good job of giving you that teal and orange look. Now let's take a look at a little bit more of an advanced method. Hopping back into Davinci Resolve, let's take a look at our second image. Let's go ahead and find a hero image. That's looking good right about there. And again, we are going to add 3 nodes here. So we're gonna add a serial node, and this time instead of a parallel node, we're gonna add a layer node. Click on our layer mixer, and we are going to add another serial node. Go ahead and label our nodes again. This first node is going to be teal. Our second node is going to be orange. And our third node is going to be final corrections. All right, first thing we want to do is come down to our node that's labeled orange. And what we're going to do is hit Shift H so we can see what we're working with. We're going to come into our qualifiers and we're going to create a mask around our oranges. All right, go ahead and hit Shift H again to turn that off. And we're gonna come into our teal node. And this time what we're gonna do is we're gonna come to our temperature and we're gonna go -300 on the temperature. And we're gonna do -50 on the tint. And that's gonna give us a really strong teal on everything that isn't orange. Now, I think that teal's a little bit too strong. You may like it, but the great thing about this method is you can come into your teal node and you can come into your key and you can drop that key output gain until you like the level of teal in your image. I'm thinking we're gonna go with 0.75, and then we're gonna come into our final corrections, and we're gonna come into our Luma versus Sat, and we're gonna desaturate those shadows. And now let's take a look at before and after. So again, really simple, but it gives you a little bit more flexibility. You can change the key output on that teal to make it more or less severe. And you can also, because you masked out those oranges, you can play around with that. You can add saturation, you can increase or decrease the luminance, you can do a whole bunch of stuff. There's a lot more flexibility with that method, but not nearly as much as you have with the final method I'm gonna show you. Let's jump into that now. So here's the last image that we're going to look at. And before we actually get into this, I just want to remind you, stick around till the end because I've got a huge gift for anybody who is a member of this channel. You don't want to miss it. Let's get back into this. So we've got a picture of a woman walking along. This is actually not a picture, it's a video. A video of a woman walking along a fence, looking up at the sky. Nice, pretty picture. Let's go back home, not that far home. There we go. Now again, I've already corrected this image, so we can just jump right into the look. We're going to add, again, 3 nodes. So let's hit 3 serial nodes this time. Just drag them all down here to keep everything organized. And let's go ahead and label this first node Teal and Orange Correction. We'll add this one as Teal and Orange. And then this last node will be Final Adjustments. So let's start with our Teal and Orange node. Let's go ahead and select that. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna come into our primaries wheels again. Make sure we're actually in our primaries wheels. And we're gonna take our lift and we're gonna pull it towards teal. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna come into our gamma and we're gonna offset that by moving in the opposite direction until our skin tones come back a little bit. And I'm gonna go extreme with this just so you guys can really see. Let's do a quick before and after. You can see we definitely have some teal. We've got our skin tones mostly protected here. The only problem is if you look down here at the shadows, you can see that there's definitely some teal in those shadows, which is making this look a little bit washed out. We want this to pop a little bit more. So we're gonna come in to our teal and orange corrector, and we're gonna make sure we go into our log wheels, and in the shadows, we're going to go opposite of teal, and that's gonna take that color cast out of those darker areas. And then we wanna make our skin tones pop a little bit, so we're going to push some orange into those midtones. Now let's go ahead and look at a before and after again. So this is our corrected image. This is the beginning of the teal and orange look. And then this is bringing some more orange into the skin tones and taking our color cast out of our shadows. And because we took that color cast out of the shadows, we don't really have to work with Luma saturation here. So we can go into our final adjustments, and what we can do is come over to our custom curves, make sure editable splines is turned on, and we can just add a little bit of pop to this video. And now let's take a look at a before and after. Now, to make this even easier for you, I have turned all 3 of these looks into both LUTs and power grades, and I'm giving them all away for free to my channel members. So if you're not a channel member and you want to get in on things like a private area in my Discord server and monthly live editing trainings and also free presets and free LUTs, then make sure you click the join button below this video, sign up today, and you'll get access to all that stuff. Now, one last quick thing before you go. I showed you how to do these looks, but like I said, all 3 of these images were already color corrected. And if you don't know how to do that, you need to learn how to do that first. It's super, super important for getting a good teal and orange look. So to learn more about color correction, click here. And for more tools, tips, and tricks that'll make you a better video editor, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell so you don't miss anything. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.